once again.
Hello again, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's Autos Mobile Mechanics. Here we have a Ford Focus and it's failed its MOT, so I've been told. I haven't checked that myself, but it's been told you can't have an MOT because it's got a broken suspension spring on the driver's side here. So the first thing I'm going to have to think about is getting access to the top mount, which is to remove the wipers on both sides and remove all of this plastic down here. Just use a little pick tool just to remove the cap so I can access the bolt there. Now the rubber caps are off, we can use a 15mm socket just to undo these. Get the washers off. Now if we press down on the wiper from here and then up and down, just wiggle it up and down a few times, we'll be able to just break it loose. Just like that. So now on each side we have a T30 little bolt here. Get them done out. Now we should just be able to wiggle this up. Oh, looks like we've got some plastic clips in here as well, so I'll have to get those out. We'll just take off this. You can see here we've got a couple of plastic clips. Just use this trim tool to loosen these up. Now that's it, now it'll come loose. I'm just going to run my fingers along the back edge, unclip it from the screen. Now to get this piece off, we have what looks like some 10mm bolt. So we'll get these off. We should just be able to pull that off now. Just use our trim tool to move this plug out of the way. It just sits a little bit over where the bolt is there. So just move that to the side. Now I'm going to get the car raised up on a jack. So now with the wheel off the car, we can come in here. We're going to have to open the drop link here, and then we've got a bolt just here for the suspension strut, so we can move this down and get it disconnected, and then we can open the bolts up the top on the top of the top mount. Then we'll open this. We're going to use a 32mm socket here to open the drive shaft nut, just so it gives a bit of movement and flexibility when we're taking off the leg here. Just going to clean up the bolt here. It's a lot of rust on there, so we're just getting some of that off before we try and get it open. Just WD-40 a little bit of that up, and we'll spray some around here as well, so I can soak down into the leg. I'm just going to use a 15mm socket on this bolt around here. Just having the electric gun there makes it so much easier to get these out. So I just hammered a punch in the back there just to loosen out spread the gap on the clamp of the leg there. So to remove the drop link here, we're just going to use a 15mm spanner and a 5 hex, and we can just wedge that against there, and then we can open the bolt on this, hopefully. Sometimes these can be quite a pain to get open, that's why we cleaned it up and greased it before. Now we can just undo that by hand. So to undo the bottom, you've got a couple of choices. You can undo the ball joint down the bottom here, or I usually just put a lever bar on the bottom suspension there so I can press it down, and then give this a few taps of the hammer right here. So if I rest my knee on this bar, it'll just press it down enough to pop out the arm. Now the bottom end's disconnected. I can use a 13mm on the top here to open all of these, and then the spring will drop out the bottom. And that's the broken piece there that's come off. It was sitting on the bottom of the cup there. So I've just got the spring here pressed into my spring clamp in the van. I'm going to open the 19mm nut at the top. Use the nut gun here to do it. I'll just hold that mount while I'm doing it. And I did get that wrong there. That is an 18mm, not a 19mm socket there. Release the pressure and then the top mount can come off. And I can get the spring out. So we've got the new spring here. We're just going to line it up into that little notch where it sits. Now we're just going to pump back up the pressure and get this aligned up through the middle here. Just use the lever bar to persuade it over into the correct position, and we can release the pressure there. Let it go down. So a good thing to note here is this little notch that sticks out. You've got to align that up right here with the gap that's in the leg, so that it'll slide into that location there. We line these top bolts up and put the bolts in there that'll hold the shock strut up in place. Just around the back here we've got this little notch lined up with the gap. Now we can just get rid of our little bar there just by giving it a tap or two. I might need my both hands for that bit. Okay, so we've just put the drive shaft bolt back on, plug back in the ABS sensor, this bolt back on, and the clamp bolt back on together there. Drop link bolt is back on, and we've already done the top bolts as you've seen there. So now let's just put the wheel back on and it's job finished. And we'll just get a jack up to get our axle stand out from under there. That's one tip I forgot to mention to start is, if you're having trouble pushing it back together, obviously when you've got your axle stand under, you lower the jack onto the axle stand, which will then push the pressure upwards and push the mount, the hub assembly there, back into the shock absorber leg. We're just going to get the wheel back on and the job is finished. See you in the next video.